Events marking the funeral of Britain's longest-serving monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, who is to be honored with a full state funeral today, has already commenced. World leaders and dignitaries, including hundreds of thousands of Britons, will bid
reflecting
farewell
that
to
bond
Queen
between
Elizabeth, who will be buried at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. In accordance with the wish of the Queen's successor, her son, King Charles III, the public mourning period will continue across the country for a week after the funeral. And joining us in our Lagos studio is President, Directors Guild of Nigeria, Global Affairs commentator Victor Ohai. Good morning, Victor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And while we were speaking, those were live visuals coming out of Westminster Abbey, where the funeral will be held for Queen Elizabeth II. We're already seeing people arriving the venue for the funeral. A lot of persons coming to pay their last respect and say goodbye and thank you, Victor.
Yes, the end of an era and the beginning of yet another. The Queen is someone that, I mean, most people alive today have not known any other queen.
Right.
You know, in the United Kingdom or in England, and she's been there like since forever, you know.
70
years. Yes, for 70 years. And so, I mean, that's like, you're talking about like 2 generations and counting. And so it is, you know, like they say, a star has fallen from the skies. Yeah.
You see, we're still seeing live visuals of a number of persons, you know, moving around. We would recall that while she was lying in state, a lot of persons, like we're seeing now, a lot of persons came out, you know, to pay their last respect, to see the coffin being moved perhaps later this morning when the funeral procession will begin at about 10:35 a.m. this morning. Lots of persons out there to just pay their last respect. Sam, I guess.
Well, I said earlier that I was quoting Shakespeare when he said, when beggars die, no comments.
No comments.
Even the heavens blaze forth the death of princes.
Yes.
I said there's so many beggars who have died since she died.
True.
There's so many close family people who have died that even the monarch is still oppressing people in their own death, that they're not giving them the opportunity to even bury their own death because everybody has forgotten. He has taken the oxygen and the grandeur and the obsequies.
I'll tell you what I saw. I'll tell you what I saw, sorry. Just this morning, or was it last night, some people were complaining that, you know, as people were in the queue trying to pay their respects, there were some people, I mean, they brought blankets for them and all that. And then someone wondered what happens to all the homeless people in the streets out there. No one remembers them. No one gives them blankets. But suddenly people who are comfortable on their own and are in the queue just to pay their respects are being given blankets to keep warm
and food.
And food.
There was a report that even the hospitals were now, because of the death, the hospitals were now cancelling appointments. Because they're trying to prioritize or hierarchize cases of cases that are more important and more urgent than others. Are you sure my headache is not as important as that of that person's cancer?
Is this a case of all men are equal?
All because somebody died, so I too should be on the death row?
Life should be for the living.
Yeah.
It's important, yes. Life should be for the living. I mean, she has, in her own right, you know, been accomplished. She wasn't, I mean, as a young queen, a lot of, when she ascended, there was a huge burden of responsibility on her. And she was a queen that was not meant to be you know, if
Yes.
not for the abdication of
because
her,
of the-
of
of the
her
uncle.
uncle, yes,
Yeah.
King Edward VIII. So she was not meant to be, but right early on, as soon as she recognized or she knew that she was going to be queen one day, she took on this responsibility very strongly. I was listening to her broadcast at the age of 14, you know, during the Second World War, when she addressed children over the world, all over the world.
Yes.
And the firmness in her voice. I mean, you can say maybe the speech was written, you can say that, but I mean, the delivery is certainly hers, you know, but I could feel a strength. I mean, she was a queen that has, I mean, she was a queen from the war. Let me, you know, a child who was thrown into this future from the war, had a very, very, very strong prime minister, you know.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Imagine coming from Kenya and then coming to meet this
Winston,
strong,
huge
towering, huge personality in every sense of the word. I mean, he was intimidating in his looks, in his
oratory.
I know that is legendary. That is legendary.
But she was able to handle it.
She did. I mean, so she did. And you know what's interesting? These are some things that a few people may not even know about the Queen. She opted to serve in the military,
Yes.
you know, as a driver. And I think we can refer to her as a little mechanic because it was
Yes,
something
she
she
was a
loved doing.
mechanic,
She was a mechanic,
She
seriously.
was, she was.
You know, and she was fixing ambulances and all of
Yeah.
that. This was her, the part of her people didn't know. So she had that side of her. She was a very strong personality. So she wasn't an accident. You might say history may have thrust this on her, but she was
Prepared.
she was,
Well,
I don't know about being
Shakespeare-
prepared.
Shakespeare said
Yes.
some are born great,
Great,
some
yes.
achieve greatness,
Greatness.
and some have it thrust
On
upon
them. You might say that all three, you know, she was born great. Well, maybe not, there's not destined to be, she was born destined to be king, obviously, because, a queen rather, because, you know, otherwise she wouldn't have been, you know, but she has always been that person. She's always managed and carried it very, very well. And she never fails to remind you that she's in charge and she's in control. And that's something to say about woman power, if you like.
So, all right. You want to say something?
Yes.
No, I was just trying to say that she has been able to preside over the dissolution of the British Empire.
Yes.
Remember that Churchill wasn't willing to do that during the Yalta Conference of I think 1945, when Winston Churchill met with Roosevelt and all of that, and he said they should put all the empire on international trusteeship. And then there's this famous response from Churchill, said, never, never, never. I did not become the Queen's first minister to preside over the dissolution of the British Empire. But the dissolution started even before his eyes, but this woman was able to preside over all the dissolution of the empire. There are a lot of it still there.
Yes.
A lot of it still there, and she's still a queen of Canada, queen of
Australia,
New Zealand,
New Zealand, all of that.
You know,
so many places.
you have to say this about her. She was responsive. I mean, for somebody her age, you might say younger people are more responsive to the times. She belongs to a conservative, if you like, tribe. Let me use that language, institution. But she was also one that was responsive to the times. You know, you recall when Princess Diana died, she could feel the pulse of, you know, the sentiments of people. And then sudden changes. They were not paying taxes before, and then they started paying taxes. You understand what I'm saying? And then Buckingham Palace, that was like, if you like, call it a shrine, became open to the public. Things that you could never, I mean, that were not the norm before. So she was conscious, she was responsive, and although you see that still appearance like someone who rarely smiles, a lot of people who are close who have talked about her, have a very good sense of humor, and she chooses those moments,
Yes.
you know, to reveal those sides of her.
Yeah.
So I think to a very large extent that has helped the monarchy because, quite frankly, there's been a lot of rumbling among younger people. They're wondering why, I mean, even this death is going to cause them so much.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what the king will do, but that is the one thing you can give to her. She was able to hold, if it had gone the way Winston Churchill wanted it, I can guarantee you that none of these other countries would have been able to, I mean, would have yielded to her being the head of state. And the reason for that, sorry, if I would just chip in this quickly, is that, you know how, I want to say that, you know, women are very powerful. They give you, they hold power, but they make you feel like you're in charge.
Of course, that is passive.
interesting.
That's what they call passive aggression.
Exactly. So that's what she's really done.
Yeah.
You know, that side of her, to a very large extent, is what has held, you know, yes, the quote unquote, the old empire, or now the Commonwealth, together. You find a few more wanting to join.
Don't you think that there's an exaggerated approbation for our role in softening the image of Britain? Migrants coming in, when she was there, it was so whitish. Now there's Muslim community, there's Jewish community, there's
So many
Asian
communities.
community, and so on. Is it not more a force of time rather than the influence of the monarchy? I mean, I remember
I can explain that.
reading this man's biography, Richard Nixon, who said, "History affects us more than we affect history."
No, but very true. Very true.
So exaggerated. But what is more important to me here are historical.
Yes.
One, I was asking, well, we should look at what the monarchy did to us. I mean, the governor of Lagos State now just remodeled the Badagry Museum about slavery. There was this interesting part of the place there. There was a well.
Yes.
That well. So I call it in my column. I call it the Well of Meekness. That's the local chiefs created that well in homage to the white people to tell them that, look, these people that you have now changed and you have taken overseas, that once they drink of this water, once they drink of this water, there will be no problem. They will forget their sorrows. They forget their land.
Yes.
They won't protest. They will be good slaves to you. And we are not looking at that side of the history, that the wealth that made the monarchy, the wealth that made the East. I quoted this last week when I quoted Daniel Defoe, when he said, no African, no Negro, no farm, no plantation, no trade, no American continent. No American continent, no wealth. All of them because of the blood and treasure of our people. Some people did the carriage, the gold carriage that the Queen writes on. They said it's worth into this money about $430 billion. Only that, and that was made from gold taken from Africa. Only that, because there's no gold in no, they don't have any
Coal
gold.
at best.
The only coal they have,
Charcoal.
coal. That's what they have, and they don't use them these days.
No.
So that itself, if you put that in a trust, if you melt that and turn that into money, and you put that in a trust fund, that can solve a lot of problem of poverty, investment, infrastructure, scholarships, education, superstition,
Absolutely.
and so on, all of that. That's just that. So what are we saying? What is this we are watching? What is it about? Is it about mourning Africa for all that has happened to us celebrating a monarchy that is based on iniquity.
I saw a picture. You see, I'm very careful these days because of what happens in social media. But I saw a picture with a close-up. If you notice, the carriage is always filmed from the window up.
Yes.
I saw from the window down. I saw closer, and I saw images. That's why I say I don't know. Let me not speculate. Slave image, blacks, bowing before. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. A few people may have seen it out there. I don't know if I will ever be close enough to see that carriage. But whether or not, and you have rightly said it, the empire was built on the blood, sweat, and the labor of blacks, and it's happening till tomorrow. And you want to ask why? Look at what happened during COVID, when about 54 or 50-something doctors, in the midst of a medical emergency, you're coming to one of the most vulnerable parts of the world, where they don't even have enough medical facilities and all that, and you're asking their doctors to come over. I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
I
yes.
remember.
That is, that's as cold-hearted as it can get. At our weakest, at our most vulnerable, and the slavery continues because, like in those days, they were our strongest, because of course the slave masters will come, they'll pick only the very strong, not the weak, okay? And so today it's intellectual muscle, okay? And that's what's happening. They're coming to pick our best and our brightest, offering them whatever it is, and then moving them over to continue developing these nations. And when they go there, they're usually at best second-class citizens. Okay? So this has continued. And it brings me back to what we were talking about before we went on the break. That when they say, the Queen has changed a lot of things, and is it, they are more accommodating now and all that, is that really a fact or a force of history? If we look at what's happening in the world, it was inevitable. The birth rate of the white people of the West is less than that of the average people, in this part of the world, and also of the immigrant community in that place. And when we went on break, he had an interesting thing to say about that before I continue. What was that you said again?
I said the rich get richer and the poor get children.
So, and that's the case. So you find a situation where whether they like it or yes, excuse my English, because it's inevitable, whether they like it or yes, their population is going to be shrinking more and more, and the immigrant community is going to, and which is why you have the mayor of London today, and even the guy who would have, I forgot his name now, who would have been Prime Minister, that's a good try. His origin is Asian, before they gave it, before...
Liz Truss.
Yes, Truss.
Well, Liz Truss just immediately, just suddenly...
Exactly.
Just became the
How long are we going
leader
to
of the
keep
pack.
blaming them for what they did to us? How long are we going to keep blaming them?
No,
Isn't it high time for us to move on? You talked about a lot of Nigerians moving out of the country. They came to, take a lot of persons. But there are also people who decided to go because they feel that they are not being accepted or valued as much within the country. But we'll look at that. We need to quickly go on a short break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We are still looking at Queen Elizabeth II state funeral, and we still have our guest in the studio, President, Directors Guild of Nigeria, Global Affairs commentator, Victor Hai. Victor, before we went to the break, I was talking about why it is important for us to perhaps move forward as it is from what perhaps the monarchy has done to Africa and Nigeria, bringing it back home. And we also looked at the aspect of those who are voluntarily, moving to the UK for greener pastures because they feel they are not being valued in the country.
Well, there's an interesting twist or dimension I would like to introduce to it. First of all, the rate of unemployment here is high. I can tell you that not every doctor is gainfully or fully employed here. So as people move, it creates opportunities for others to move up as well. Plus, there's the other side of it as well, diaspora repatriation. So they go there, and especially those who've been trained locally. I'm going to talk about the new gold mine that is education for them. Their new oil in the UK and the US, education. We're spending our money there, but that's on the other side. But on the other hand, when people go there, they still have family ties here, at least for another 2 generations. After that, it's a bit loose. So there's a lot of repatriation back here, which is good for us.
Financially.
Yes, financially. Next to oil, I would say, or perhaps competing with oil, that's another source of foreign exchange, for us. And if the atmosphere here were good enough, I can assure you that you would see a lot of diaspora investments here. Some of it is happening in the real estate, real estate, and we should have it in industry and rest. But the problem is...
And in shares.
And in shares, exactly, and in shares. But the problem we have is, we talk about ease of doing business, but we just pay lip service to it. It's not exactly there. So that's the problem. So that money is coming back here, and it is solving problems back home here as well. But it might also be argued that, yes, for many of us, we're spending money going to their institutions, using scarce foreign exchange. But when they go there, all that money comes back. It's like an investment.
But we have not really done the maths. Have we done the real maths about the value? Because they're talking about value analysis. Because they are sweating there.
I'm glad.
They are sweating there and taking the pittance of their sweat and throwing it that way.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm speaking to a scholar as well, and a researcher. It's a research topic. This is something that bears reaching. And I hope somebody out there looks into it.
Yeah.
Yes, because the value.
Yes, it's important to look at it.
When you work and make $1,000 and you send $50 home and you spend most of the money there, it's not exactly the same thing. The point is that you probably won't be able to do that when you are here. You'll be able to earn that because you don't have any job and so on. But if we're able to do what we're supposed to do, all that value will come here.
Blaming them.
Let's look at something. You and I know that, if you go to Benin City today, there are lots of hotels there now. Many of them, yes, some locally, but a lot of it, that's one thriving business there. Really thriving. Otherwise, you won't see.
They're owned by...
Yes, people from the diaspora. And when they come to, they stay in these hotels. If there was no business, you won't see it.
Because Benin is kind of like a transit area for those traveling. Exactly. Yes. They stop over there and then move. Yeah.
So that's, so you can see some of that coming. You see physical infrastructure and I'll say fiscal infrastructure as well. Excuse my play with words here. But, a lot of this money is coming back. Maybe not as much as we would, but I think it is reflecting in some of those families. You see people sending money back home to build houses. Part of it is diverted into other things, but it's still within the economy nonetheless. Yes. But it bears researching.
Yes, yes, they need to. Because you have to analyze value. Yes. Because when it's just like you say when people go now, it's voluntary slavery. That's what it is. Like, okay, last time they came, they forced us. Now we are going to say, okay,
voluntarily.
We want to work.
I'm trying to look at the positive side of it as well.
I have to recall when I was studying history in school, my professor, Professor B.O. Oloruntimeh, is of blessed memory, he made one sentence, which I quoted today in my column. He said, the abolition of slavery was an act of enlightened self-interest by the Europeans to give the Africans a new role in the international economic system.
Wow.
Unquote. What he was saying was that slavery and slave trade was no longer profitable as it used to be.
Yes.
They had now, industrial revolution had now come. They now had factories everywhere.
Yes.
Now you needed raw materials.
True.
For those factories.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all you needed now is leave those black people
Where
to
they
farm and get those raw materials so that we can use them in our factories abroad. So it was not because of William Wilberforce that played a role and so on. Because if we are going to all of that about Christianity, and I'm a Christian.
Yes,
I'm a Christian. The Church of England apologized for their role in helping slavery and slave trade, saying that these people have no soul. So there's no need to treat them like human beings. Yet, they sent their missionaries to come and convert the souls. What souls? To convert souls to Christ. People that had no soul, you want to convert them? So what this point about Mary Slessor trying to become nice to us, we should put all of these things in context. That these people were not really, they were not sent by Christ. They were there on their own, and Christ will have found his own way of coming to us without this peevish, this mischievous, this diabolical template.
See, there are Christians in Ethiopia today, but they were never colonized.
Yes.
So it just tells
people
you
like
so
Philip
right.
and all those apostles all went to Ethiopia.
Exactly.
They went there after
so
the death
one
of
way or
Christ.
another, it would still have come to us. But did you notice, though? I just wanted to bring this. I hope. So I don't know if it caught your attention. The king or the queen and now the king is the church, symbolic.
Yes, head the church. Is the head of the church.
The Church of England.
Yeah.
And the queen was sworn in with the Holy Book. And the king just affirmed, and we saw this goat.
Yes.
That was, I can imagine if a president here were to be sworn in with a goat, what we would all be saying, and...
The culture tradition was upheld. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. I have not seen any video of the queen being sworn in with a goat. I saw her being sworn in with a Bible. I don't know about, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking about images. Now, you don't say, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Okay, so I don't know.
Maybe they meant goat instead of the greatest of all time.
That's what I was trying to. So, but the one thing you can say is, like the ancient and modern Benin Kingdom, they have maintained their tradition. And they're still maintaining it.
Yes.
Very much.
It must be said
they uphold
that
it.
they are
But then we have to talk about the beauty of democracy and what is the relevance of monarchy, in the Republican age.
Yes.
Very important.
But then even the Americans, they are going Google-eyed over
the Queen.
Because somehow there's something in our nature as human beings that we always crave some form of leadership. We want something to worship. Because what we are seeing in Europe, in England today, some people say we are coming to pay respect. Some people say it's veneration. Some people say it's outright idolatry that we are seeing here. What is going on there? You spend long hours. When was the last time anybody did that? They ever use the expression vigil.
Yes.
When was the last time?
For the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. They even talked about the 15 minutes vigil.
The same Bible says the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything.
Yes, exactly.
Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. He said immediately the breath goes out of him, it's gone.
Well, it's part of the procession leading up to her state funeral. That must be said. Because even if they have the vigil of the princes and then the vigil for the grandchildren, 15 minutes vigil. And we also see a lot of persons who came out to also keep vigil with them as well. You must say that they had already planned this out. And so
yes,
it's what we are
so
seeing play out
yes.
already. So
Yes.
they have what it is, the processes they want to go through before the state funeral. We give that to them. We don't have that in Africa, but then we must give it to them.
Well, in Benin Kingdom, excuse me, I
Yes.
want to keep referring to that. The last standing monarchy, even if anyone is going to kill me for saying it.
And then, don't forget the Shekiri.
Oh, of course,
The
yes.
Warring Kingdom.
It's pop and pageantry here and there. So this is their own traditional way of celebrating the Queen Elizabeth.
But that's the thing about ceremonies. So, when you have traditions, ceremonies, they tend to, everyone tends to fall in line. There's something about ceremonies. There's something about rituals, processes, rites, and all of that. Let me take it into the church. Look at the Catholic Church, for instance, when they're serving Mass and all the rites and rituals. When I say rituals, of course, those who, we're not talking about anything negative.
Yes.
So all those, so there's something about it that creates a sense of reverence, a sense of, you just look at it and it's like, everywhere is just suddenly solemn, everything is like, and so it's the same. If you see the Oni, for instance, when he appears and then people just suddenly come and, so when you have those rituals, those ceremonies, they tend to make everyone, fall in line. And the British are really good at this.
Yes.
And that's why they're hanging on to it. It's the only thing they have left. If you take away the monarchy, I don't know what else they have.
Absolutely. For a lot of them.
It's very interesting that all of this is going on. When Lenin died, the great Russian poet Mayakovsky wrote a very long poem of it. And I just remembered it yesterday. I read it last in 1989. But when this was going on, I remember that I read a book of a big tome on the life of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin.
Yes.
And the end of it was extract from that quote and so on. There's a place where he said, although he's dead now, there's no more sagas, no epics, no myths, all extinct. It's all over. But that is still part of what human beings crave.
Yeah.
We always want ceremonies. That's why we have birthdays. That's why we have
elaborate funerals.
That is why we have
weddings.
Owambe parties. That's why we have all of that. A society needs two things, according to the Roman poet Juvenal. Said, bread and circus. Once you have bread, you can eat. Then you want to celebrate, just like a child.
Yes.
Once you finish giving the child food, it's
play.
play all over. Then the child remembers you again
For food.
when he's hungry. He comes back.
But it's like all the money you make
society.
all the money you make is almost towards ceremony.
It's just like somebody I saw the other day who said, look, I went to the village the other day, everybody was during Christmas, everybody was flaunting their own. And then in church, the person was praying. So, God, let me get a jeep this year so that all those people in the village who are looking down on me
Well,
cannot
no,
look
that I've
down. They know too that I
have
too have
arrived.
that kind of thing. That's what it's doing. I remember somebody bought this was in the East. Somebody ordered a choice car just because of 1 minute of fame in the East. Wanted to attend a particular burial. And the reason the person bought that vehicle
to show them
was that he was going to show up another billionaire when that event came. So when the billionaire has come and gone, his too, the people will now see his own car.
Yeah.
That was the only reason he went to order that car. You see, that is part of the vanity of it. Now, what I want us to address, is this.
Yes.
Abiola called for reparations.
Yes.
When he was alive. That matter, as it were, has gone into some kind of abeyance. Is it not time to raise this issue again, to say these people have all of this money? This is the monarchy. The money they have, nobody knows. It's shrouded in secrecy.
Mystery.
Can't they give a substantial amount of it into some kind of trust issue? Because they can't spend it. They are not like the Roman Empire where they just hold feasts and just start spending money.
Exactly.
There's an ethics to the way they spend money.
Yes.
It's not like King Azarias, who said he has defeated all his enemies. And so I want to do a feast for 180 days.
Yes.
He did it, and they asked Queen Vashti,
Yes.
come. And the Queen said, no, I will come. Okay, I throw you away, I put Esther there, and so on. They can't do that today.
No, they can't.
So they have all that money. So why can't they just say, okay, we have this amount of money, maybe $20 billion.
Right.
And we want Africa, we want to say, we are sorry. Put this in a trust issue. Don't give it to any African leader. International, get the agenda, what to do with the money.
Will that
Why
bring,
can't they come up with
will that
something
bring
like
some
that?
level of closure?
That is exactly, not Commonwealth.
Yes.
Commonwealth where you are trying to say I'm sorry by under me. Let's come and play. After I've beaten you up.
I think that we're coming to that. The Queen was very tactful. I can tell you that the monarchy would have collapsed before now. You know, she used those feminine instincts and, not in a derogatory way, wiles, to manage and make us feel like we were. But I think Prince Charles, I don't know if he has that charisma. When he spoke, I saw a different Charles. I don't know, but it just suddenly looked different. You know.
He's an environmentalist.
Yeah. So, but I don't know if he can sustain the grumblings that are starting from within. It's not even from without. It's starting from within. The young people are already questioning the monarchy. And it's going to start from there. About the reparation, I like what you have said, and I hope that can happen. And I wish that we would call it the Commonwealth. Indeed, you know, sell off all of that, all the castles and everything. I would say...
It's a Commonwealth of games.
Yes, you know, bring all of that. Exactly, that's what it is. You know, bring all of that. If we put it in some sort of... Well, the problem we've always had is the issue of, say, okay, if you say, but that you have addressed already, say if you send it here, people will squander it. It's like the return of the Abacha loot. You know what I mean? But perhaps there's a way that as Commonwealth, because indeed the empire was by the Commonwealth, and it was the Commonwealth of the empire that was looted. I don't know about, well, even if
Rather than call it the Commonwealth Games, they call it the Commonwealth of Games.
Of games, yeah. You know, so I think that, you know, that to a very large extent, they can begin to, what people do. Let me talk about Alfred Nobel, what he did. He was known for, I mean, this, what you call it, explosives and all that. But he didn't want that memory of him to linger. And what he decided to do was do something for humanity. The Nobel Peace Prize, and then the other Nobel Prize, literature, and the rest of them. So he wanted to redeem that image. And so he set up, I mean, that was his legacy. And so you no longer remember him for the evil that he
did.
Yes. Or that he helped to...
He's doing penance.
Yes, exactly. You know? So, because it may be argued that explosives could have been used for mining and for other purposes, but we know that they were used for much more and for evil indeed.
That's the story of Bill Gates. Yeah. Bill Gates decided to resign from active work in Microsoft because his image had become that of a predator.
Yes.
He was just destroying companies and taking them over, and his image was very bad. So he became a philanthropist.
Exactly. So as it is, I think that I buy into his idea of a trust. A trust. For instance, imagine if all of that money is put somewhere for a scholarship for people from
African countries.
Yes. Former colonies where all this wealth was plundered from. That, for instance, is a good use.
Education.
A health, that's
And
education.
healthcare.
Yes. Education and healthcare. A trust like that, and I think it has started on this table. Please give us credit. That's something, that's an agenda we can actually push. It's an agenda we can actually push. You're in the media, you're a very strong
I
voice.
wrote about it in my column
Yes,
today.
and we
so-
can, we can.
You think King Charles
we
will
can
be able
sustain-
to drive this?
I think we need a person like Harry to become a king.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, yes.
But it's not
But
the-
alas, if wishes
Maybe
were
his
horses,
son.
if wishes were horses.
Maybe his son will do it sometime.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
long time. That's a long time.
But if we keep talking about it,
Yes.
if we keep talking about it, it gets to a point. It happened when Diana died. The Queen was forced to do something.
Yeah.
So, and I think if we keep talking about it, Uju has started it. A lot more voices are coming. Ours may not be as loud, but we've started nonetheless. A bigger voice might amplify it. Abiola did his bit. But what we're asking for, I think, that's more sustainable and is a more pragmatic solution. Health, education, take all of that.
All right.
And put it there, and they use that to, like Alfred Nobel, that's a model, and then see how you can.
And Ms.
Well,
Gates and...
That would be a fine
Yes.
place to leave the conversation this morning, and we hope that this conversation continues with regards to doing something for countries that were plundered by the monarchy. Thank you, President, Directors Guild of Nigeria, Global Affairs Commentator Victor Ohai, for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.